everyone, welcome. I will give it a few minutes and also send out a tweet, and then we will kick off. All right, we have a request from one Beam CTO. I believe I know who this is.
Hello.
Hey, Romanov, how are you?
Oh, I'm fine. It's that time of the week again.
Indeed it is. Sunday.
Yep. So, how have you been?
I've been okay. Had a pretty okay week. A lot going on, both in crypto and out of crypto. I partook, as you know, in my first ever poker tournament, which I placed in the top 67th. and for anyone that's listening, a big thank you to Romanov for giving me some insights and some tips. Else I'm sure I would have done far worse.
Yeah, I actually really like that. You have to buy like an NFT to participate in that, right?
Yeah, it was like a random NFT that I had bought a long time ago, hoping to get an airdrop later on. And then they had a free tournament with the winner getting flown to the World Series of Poker main event and like an entry
Oh,
ticket and this kind of stuff. It's fun.
oh, that's really nice.
My dreams of Las Vegas are still living on. Next year, maybe.
Vegas, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so we have quite a lot of interesting things to talk about today. Both Beam and not Beam. So, like a lot of things are happening around us every single moment. But I think we should start with the most important story, which is Goblin's asses.
Indeed.
You heard me right.
Did you did you say goblins or?
Yeah. Goblin's ass was a big kind of interesting story.
Yeah,
Can you tell us what happened there?
yeah, absolutely. So, as we spoke in the one of the last spaces, there was a very interesting activities coming from the crypto community always, and there was something like a 3 hour or so Twitter space with some incredible insights from goblins. Do you want to share the latest goblin news?
Yeah, so it was so ridiculous that somebody actually decided to, ridicule that in an appropriate way and mint a collection of Goblin's asses as a kind of, a joke. But the joke was on this person because he did it very kind of haphazardly, and his collection was stolen from the blockchain before he was actually able to kind of mint it or do something with it. So he kind of put NFTs on the blockchain, and then somebody scraped them and launched this collection before the actual author.
Something
And
something I would see would be Goblin Ass's founder getting front run by someone else.
yeah, exactly. It's unbelievable. I mean, everything about this story is so crypto, you know.
Yeah, we've come a long way from simple peer transactions.
Oh man, that's yeah, and we actually have a lot of topics related to NFTs today. Um, so like NFTs, they generate a lot of buzz, and they're like very interesting in many aspects. But there are also a lot of problems, like specifically regarding how should I put it? The fact that not all NFTs are minted in the right way, I would say. So let's say when you go to OpenSea, and OpenSea today is kind of this monster like marketplace. very popular, very like used, but it's also completely centralized. Yeah. And there is like an actual like I will share a video that I found which kind of explains the problem with that topic because this is how it works in Ethereum. On most like you have a contract, which means the NFT, and inside the contract you have a link to the NFT metadata. And then inside the NFT metadata, which is usually some JSON or some structure that kind of provides several links to the NFT, to the image, the keywords, sometimes even the elements that the NFT was combined from. Inside that metadata, you have the link to the actual image, which is kind of the whole point to be able to reach this image. And this is where the problem starts because these images are sometimes not stored on any kind of decentralized storage. For example, Apes Yacht Club, which we'll also talk about today, they are properly minted, and all of those images are stored on the IPFS, which is a decentralized file system that is also now used in Beam. And it's a completely correct way to do it. And also, when you are purchasing the ape, you actually purchase the entire kind of rights to this specific image, as it is mentioned in their website and their terms. But in many cases, this image is actually located on servers that belong to either the OpenSea as a marketplace, or any other kind of marketplace, or even on third party. Like, for example, some images are actually stored on like Google Content Service. So it's basically stored on Google. And obviously, if something happens to these companies or specific servers, this image is not accessible anymore. Like, that's kind of a big problem. Like, what are you actually buying, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also not only like can the image go down and not available, can also be like updated if it's on like a central server.
Yeah, it's very strange. Now, for example, sometimes it leads to a ridiculous situations. For example, when you are in Polygon, you cannot actually see the image anywhere else except in the OpenSea kind of website, because there is an API that is supposed to show you these images from OpenSea, but it's not operational yet. They finished yet, right? So you cannot display it anywhere except for like when OpenSea shows it to you, which is kind of very strange, completely centralized, and basically negates the entire idea of NFTs and buying rights to images on blockchain.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you can only see it on OpenSea and it's only served up by OpenSea to anyone else, then it's kind of a moot point in having like a NFT at all, really.
Absolutely. So obviously, it also brings the questions of censorship, like who decides which NFTs to show and which NFTs not to show. There was a recent tweet, let me find it, about somebody who bought an E.N.S domain for Calvin Klein, I think it was.
It was Louis Vuitton ETH. I'm
Oh
pretty
yeah,
sure.
really? Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
another one. Let me find it here.
it
Um,
probably like happened multiple times, right?
Definitely, yeah, because uh, it got just censored, like delisted from OpenSea, basically.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I forgot about this. I saw like something floating around on Twitter, and OpenSea received a DMCA from the brand, and so they removed it and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So the interesting thing is, like, I didn't kind of have time to dig deeper into this, but I'm not sure like how this is even related to DMCA. Like, what DMCA is about breaking encryption. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
Maybe I said the wrong set of letters, but
No,
I
no, no, you
think
did.
it
No,
is.
that's exactly the point. You said the right set of letters,
Yeah,
but it doesn't make sense to me right now. But whatever the law that allows you to do this.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
and this
yeah,
kind of like, although it's horrible, I'm not at all surprised because like OpenSea. I mean, I don't want to shit on OpenSea completely, but everything they seem to do is almost like centered around like keeping themselves in a central position and like kind of protecting themselves and this kind of stuff rather than trying to like increase NFTs or Ethereum or crypto in general or anything like this. It's more about like self-preservation, which goes completely like against what many value in crypto.
I totally agree. And also the fact that Twitter, for example, has this integration with OpenSea specifically to present your NFT as an avatar in this kind of octagonal form.
Yeah,
And it only works with OpenSea, right? It's not about kind of a blockchain that you are minting on or anything else. It's just a specific API on the OpenSea, and this is the integration, which is also kind of not the best way to promote, any of that. Seems
exactly.
very
Like,
opportunistic.
yeah, and it's very like counterintuitive to what we're selling, like not selling, but like what we're kind of advertising as a space and industry to people that aren't necessarily involved in it.
Yep. Another interesting story also related to OpenSea, actually kind of yeah, something that probably will start happening more is kind of insider trading in NFTs. Have you heard it?
I didn't like read a lot about it, but I did read the headline and like spooky and kind of crazy.
So I'm posting this link to a great thread that explains exactly what happened. And just kind of in a quick overview, there was this person working for OpenSea, and he knew that certain collections are going to be featured on the NFT on the homepage of OpenSea. So he bought some items from those collections that he knew are going to be featured, and then he flipped them for a profit of about $40,000.
Yeah.
Now he was later charged with using like confidential company information, something like that. So it's not exactly insider trading, rather it's using confidential information that he knew because he was working for his profit. And now he's facing charges, from the Department of Justice in the States, and it's kind of looks pretty scary.
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm reading this tweet right, he's facing up to 40 years in prison. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
of course he won't be, but like
yeah. He
even
will only do 20 for good behavior.
yeah, he'll do some more work classes. But yeah, I mentioned the like it wasn't specific like insider trading. It was more about like wire fraud or something like this. And as I think I read in this thread, wire fraud is like whenever you're using like internet or like the outside of the state internet to do fraud. I always thought it was like about wiring money or something like this to someone.
So it turns out a lot of these laws, they were written like kind of before the internet era.
Yeah,
And then when you are trying to apply these laws to the new technology, they kind of create strange effects. Let me give you an interesting example, not to NFTs specifically, but something that came to my mind. Once upon a time, like turns out that there was a law in the United States that when you are caught, I don't know, speeding, I don't know, whatever, right? Some misdemeanor, bar fight or whatever in your town, and you would be kind of arrested overnight or whatever. Your image, this one that you kind of face left, face right, this mugshot, uh, is then exposed, like it's displayed in the local sheriff's office or something like that. So there is like a board of offenders, and your image is there, like this guy was drinking, too much, or something like that. And it was fine because it was, in your local sheriff's office, and nobody kind of, like very few people walk into this office. But then there was a company that figured out a great way to make money of this by blackmailing people. So they would go to these offices and they would take photos of this and put them on, like not put them online, like threatening to put them online if you don't pay them, money. So yeah, obviously it's a blackmail and it's not legal, but the point is that some public but local ones, now it's public and global, and the internet does not forget, right? We all know this famous picture of Bill Gates mugshot when he was caught, I don't know, making a right turn on red when there was no sign or whatever, like the small things that he did. So this is kind of interesting to see how this evolves, because obviously, technology changes and the laws kind of lag behind.
Yeah, this is like especially relevant for like anything past the internet where the laws were like back before then. I'm I'm very distracted because I hadn't actually seen Bill Gates' mugshot. Now I have it up in front of me, and it's rather humorous.
Yeah, I agree. He was so like a young blonde and
Yeah, I was expecting like a very old Bill Gates that got a bit drunk or something, but no, it's a young
it,
kid.
it was way before like any of his speaking of crazy laws and technology. What do you think about the state of New York banning Bitcoin mining? Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear about it, but like New York has always been like very strict on crypto and Bitcoin stuff in particular, right?
Yeah,
With
but the way they did it is actually very interesting because what they have done, they have basically, from what I understand, okay, and I will put the link to the kind of information in our Twitter feed. But once again, I'm not a lawyer, like I'm not exactly sure if it's like 100% accurate. But from what I understood is that they banned specifically the calculation of the SHA-256, which is the function used for Bitcoin mining. So they're kind
Mhm.
of saying, yeah, you can run servers, but you cannot run this specific cryptographic function on those servers.
Oh, okay.
So this
Banning
is kind, yeah,
banning
this is kind of an
encryption.
interesting. I'm sorry.
Banning encryption?
It's not banning encryption; it's banning a calculation of a specific function, which is the one used to,
Okay,
calculate
okay, yeah.
hashes for Bitcoin. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now, there are a lot of kind of nuances and caveats to that enforcement. It means that uh, there are like it only applies to new deployments, not the existing ones. So a lot of nuances. I see that somebody wants to speak. Developer.
Glopper, what's up?
Oh, he seems to have disappeared.
He's
Let
gone.
me.
He's run away. That's okay.
That's fine. He'll come back. We believe in him. But yeah, if anyone wants to add any comments or have any questions, just raise your hand and we will gladly include you in this conversation.
That's,
Yeah.
is this like the New York City banning Bitcoin mining? Is this like the first example of mining being banned, like outside of China, that bans crypto and mining on the regular?
Sorry,
I'm actually not sure. Yes, President.
yeah, sorry to interrupt. About the New York ban, my understanding was that um, that the ban was only if you're not using renewable energy or whatnot.
Yes, you're correct. If you're
Okay.
using renewable energy, it's fine. Yeah,
Okay, I just want to make sure.
absolutely. No, it's not. It's not as strict as it sounds. The problem here,
So
like
are you
from
saying?
what one,
I'm just trying to understand what you just said about the block because I didn't know about that part. So are you saying that like the internet service providers are specifically like blocking certain um, like the functions or whatever?
well, I'm not sure how exactly this is going to be.
Is it even
But
possible? Because I mean, worst case scenario, they can always get the what is it, the Starlink, and use that connect via satellite.
I really don't know, and like I will look into that and try to understand it better. But like if it's about kind of running specific types of applications, like so for example, if you are doing, I don't know, some important calculations for whatever, and you are using the same amount of electricity, non-renewable electricity, that you would mining Bitcoin, they would say, oh, you can do this, but you cannot, do that. So that's kind of
That's
the open question here. If they're trying to regulate not only the how much electricity you are consuming, but also kind of what kind of functions, what are you doing with that? So yeah, that's the problem.
yeah, that'll be interesting to see how they will.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So back to the topic of NFTs. We are going to be, so first of all, like coming back to Beam for a second. On Thursday, we have rolled out the 7.0 finally, and there will be a fork happening in about a month. So stay tuned. And now that we have all of the capabilities, we will start rolling out the applications. And we're going to do it in two stages. First, we're going to create a new network. Community has decided that we're going to call it DAppNet, which is the network for decentralized applications. It's kind of a test net, but it has a fake proof of work mining. So it's not a real miner, but it's kind of this fake node that just generates blocks every 15 seconds. And the reason for that is that it makes easier to test new applications. You have better response time. You don't have to wait. Like when you're doing actual things, you don't mind maybe to wait a few seconds. But when you're playing with an application, you want it to respond quicker. So that's what we're doing. We have a new testnet coming up, hopefully this week, and we will start rolling out applications there. And one of the applications that will be the first to go up is the Beam NFT Marketplace version 2. And I would like to say a few words about this version. So first of all, it's going to use IPFS. You will be able to mint yourself, which is a big step forward. Having said that, it's definitely not the final version. And one of the things we're still haven't figured out completely is the question of censorship, not in terms of prohibiting, but how to monitor or how to moderate. There are several approaches, and we are going to discuss it on our forum. So you're welcome to get on it and participate in this conversation. I think it's a very important one. Whitelisting, blacklisting, I don't know, all kinds of interesting. We don't have a good search right now. And it's also an interesting topic that we'll mention in a second. But like when you have a search function, then you can have this kind of featured items on the front page, and then everything else can be found through search. When you don't have a search and you just browse and explore the gallery, then we probably not necessarily will want any type of content completely uncensored in this kind of list. So open questions, right? No kind of conclusions are reached yet, or no decisions are made. So let's talk about it. And another interesting topic that we're about this week in our forum is our Beam anonymous naming service, or B.A.N.S, as it will be called, from one of the community members. And it's also going to be developed soon on the DAppNet and then on the mainnet. So the idea of B.A.N.S is that you have, in addition to just buying a name, you have an ability to send and receive funds to that name in a way that does not disclose any other things that you own, right? So whoever sends you something will only know that he sent you this very thing, but not what was sent by anybody else, or not what is happening then with the things that he sent to this address. And once this is up and operational, then like in the next version, we will start integrating it into our wallet. So instead of sending something to like an address, like Mimblewimble address or an offline address, you will also be able to send it to a name like alex.beam or whatever it will be. And obviously it will be an NFT, and we will be able to attach an image to that, like all of the usual perks. So it's interesting. So please, we have closed the initial specs right now, and we are starting working on that. So if you have any additional suggestions, go to our forum and join the conversation there.
Absolutely. It was really cool to see some of the input on the forum for like the from the initial spec, and we changed it up a little bit and made some adjustments and understood them now. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Alex, we have an interesting question from Telegram from Aria. Excuse my pronunciation, it's going to be probably wrong. Arian, the question is, in which language can we write smart contracts on Beam?
Okay, so as of right now, the best language to write smart contracts for Beam is in C++, but generally we can support any language that can be compiled into WebAssembly, for example, Rust, Go, probably several others. What you need to to do that is this tool chain. So right now we have a tool chain that we have developed for C++ because that's what the team to implement all of those applications that we have developed and are still developing now. And we did some research regarding Rust and Go, but unfortunately we didn't have time to develop the complete tool chains for those languages. But yeah, that's the current situation. C++ now and Rust and Go possibly, and probably others.
Cool. Very cool.
Exactly.
Got a little distracted trying to make jokes that are potentially not funny in the Telegram chat. So at the moment, or a question at the moment, what are most of the contracts for the likes of the NFT marketplace and questions? They're all written in, or what are they written in? I guess.
They're written in C++. So the Beam contract, as you know, it has two parts. Kind of the contract that's actually running on the chain that we call we call them shaders. So there is like an up shader and the contract shader. So the contract shader is running on the chain, and the up shader is running inside the wallet and provides access to these applications. And obviously, it has some front end. The front end is implemented in any existing web technology. It can be, JavaScript or React or whatever. I just want to mention that all of our contracts, or like 95%, I would say at least, are available in this repository that I will send a link right now to this specific folder where they all are, so you can see like all of the examples of basically everything we have built, including like real functional applications. So let me just tweet this link right now. So you can review, you can learn, and we know that our documentation is, let's say, insufficient at the moment. So whenever you encounter any problems, first of all, we have a developer support chat in Telegram. And also I welcome you to contact me directly, ask me questions, and I will kind of try to help, or one of the colleagues who understand more in this to help. So we're really we're working on documentation, but it's still kind of far from being perfect. Not discourage you.
This brings me to another question related to something you mentioned earlier. The DAppNet will be launching, and the first application that will be on here will be NFT marketplace. Is that right?
Yeah, two applications actually are going to be launched there almost immediately because they're both almost done. One is the NFT marketplace. The other one is the DAO voting app.
Cool. This was my question, actually. My question was going to be, what's the next one after the NFT marketplace? So it will be the DAO voting, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the DAO voting is the next one, and then we have a few others, in the queue. The thing is that it's supposed to be kind of a really early testing ground. So the moment something is running, it will be deployed there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, this makes sense, and also it's going to be really fun like I'm excited to, especially testing out the voting and this kind of stuff, and also the applications that follow. Will be very cool.
Yep, I totally agree. What else do we have? Scams. We didn't talk about scams today.
There must have been some scams in crypto. It's been a week since our last space.
You are correct,
Sure.
sir. There actually were. Um, so as usual, somebody broke into Discord. It seems like this kind of recurring theme. Like that's kind of it's a classic already, right?
Yeah.
Somebody breaks into Discord, drops some fake links to some, I don't know what even. I have never like kind of seen it. Probably some phishing or I don't know, airdrops or whatever. And then people somehow lose monkeys over it. And this time it was once again, Board Ape Yacht Club was stolen. And, since these things are very expensive, it's usually it starts with like $3 million worth of monkeys. I don't know. Crazy amounts.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy that like it makes total sense that like they're targeting expensive NFTs, and this completely makes sense. But what doesn't make sense to me is that like it happens so regularly. Like I don't know how you could like be involved in a community and see this happening almost like every other day, and then log on to Discord, see something, click it, and oh my god, my bored monkeys are out the door. Like, it always surprises me.
So yeah, it's crazy from like from many perspectives. And by the way, there was like kind of a criticism from one of the founders from Board API Club regarding Discord, like why isn't Discord more secure? And then there was counter criticism because like why are you blaming Discord? It was not supposed to be secure. It was just a chat for gamers, and it was never kind of about protecting millions of dollars worth of value. But yeah, I totally agree. There are like several issues. First of all, I definitely agree that all of kind of major players in the space should somehow educate their customers, their users, their communities on how to protect their investments, their holdings, especially if it's a self-custodian, which is definitely the right way to do it. And it's very important. It's very important because the whole paradigm changes, right? So it's your keys, it's your funds, and it has two sides. Yeah, so like nobody can take it from you, but it's on your responsibility to use this technology correctly and to protect your keys. Which kind of reminds me of another topic that we will talk about in a second, like how people accidentally send their keys or commit their private keys to GitHub and all of these kinds of things. But even before that, right? I don't know. Do Coursera on how to crypto wallet. I don't know how to do it, but it definitely should be done. But also on the other hand, like people like be more careful. Like I don't if I was what is the floor today for this ape? Like I just want to understand. Like it's crazy, right? It's like very expensive.
Yeah, it's like it's so much money, right? I don't know what the floor is. It's 94 Ethereum.
Jeez.
I'm not very good at maths. That's like $190,000, roughly.
So if I would have, there is a nice monkey here with the Soviet-like looking hat. Appeals to me, and it's only worth what 78 Ethereum. Yeah, next time. So if I would hold something so valuable, like I would think 5 times even before I don't know I click anything, even remotely related. But it's amazing.
And it's another thing that like amazes me. It's not only like new people to crypto as well. I remember I won't say their name mainly because I can't remember it, but there was a guy that had been involved in crypto for like 5 years, and he had a bunch of stuff like Bored Apes and Azukis and whatever else. and he had this all on like a hot wallet, and then ended up getting phished and all of it getting stolen. And then he came out saying like, "Oh, mainstream, we're not ready for crypto or NFTs to go mainstream and this kind of stuff." And I kind of thought like, what? You're meant to be like, after 5 years, you should at least be a little bit vigilant, and at least like your key management and being a bit cautious, especially if you have millions of dollars on a wallet. But then to come out like after the fact and say like, nah, this isn't right, it's like, for me, it was baffling.
Yeah, so I think we kind of mentioned it in one of our previous spaces, probably the first one, the second one, about the importance of OPSEC in general. And it's kind of this new habits that you need to develop. Like just like you are locking when you go out, or you're locking the door of your house, or whatever you're doing to protect your property, like basic things, right? When you like people go to and use computers, it's seen, or phones or tablets, it seems like all of these here, they like kind of assume that everything is fine. Like let's install some applications and extensions and all of that stuff. Like who cares? And then use the same machine to access our crypto wallets and whatever. And an interesting kind of example of this is so when you accidentally, as a developer, you're using some kind of repository to store all of your source code, right? And it's usually shared with other developers working the same project. So there are these kind of centralized services that provide you with these kind of capabilities, like GitHub, GitLab. There's a few others, and sometimes when you're writing code, you're using API keys or passwords or things like that. And the correct way, of course, is to never ever send them to a remote repository. Okay, even if this repository is private and it's not exposed. Obviously, if it's an open source, it's terrible. And every once in a while, people make mistakes and do it, and commit some kind of script that they just wrote for like a few minutes, and they didn't bother to organize it into the environment file and do it the proper way. And that's how these keys get to those repositories. So the story is about an interesting product that was rolled out fairly recently, by GitHub. GitHub is like a major player in this space of software development, millions of repositories and users, whatever. And they're owned by Microsoft. They were very successful even before they were acquired, and right now they're owned by Microsoft. So they decided to do a very interesting thing. They decided to actually write a artificial intelligence module that scans all of this code on GitHub. So they claim it's just the open part, right? Because on GitHub, you can have either public repository for open source, like Beam has, or a private repository with your own code, which is closed and nobody can see it except for the people that you allow. And they claim that they have scanned all of these open source repositories. And now, using this very interesting artificial intelligence, computer, machine learning, whatever, they can generate new code. So let's say you want to write a code that does some kind of an algorithm or a sorting or a multiplication or whatever. So we just kind of write a comment like what you want to do, and then automatically it understands your comment and generates code for you. Okay?
Okay. So it kind of like fills it in for you.
Yeah, but it does it in a kind of smart way. So it's not like just copying code from somewhere. It actually generates new code. And as a technology, it's absolutely amazing. So it sounds crazy. But then turns out that when you are doing this kind of code generation for something that resembles a seed phrase, it actually completes with the actual seed phrase, which sometimes holds funds, that was accidentally previously committed sometime to GitHub.
This is crazy, right?
It's absolutely amazing. And yeah, there was like a well-known kind of practice of scanning open source GitHub repositories for keys and doing all this, like hackers would do it. But this takes it to a whole new level, right? It kind of, even you deleted it, even if it's not present anymore, the AI remembers, the machine learning learns, and now it will kind of suggest you this as a seed phrase. Oh, you're looking for a seed phrase? Here, let me help you with that.
Yeah, use berries.
Now, so this Copilot thing, somebody asked me about it, so I read kind of a few articles about. So I'm not using it myself, but I know people are using it. It works great, right? So no, make no mistake, it's an amazing technology. But there are some interesting nuances. So first of all, a lot of the code it generates has major security flaws. And the reason for that is it actually learns from the open source repositories, right? And most of the code is shit. So it learns from that shit, and then it tries to reapply what it learned to your code, right? So in many cases, you end up with, let's say, bad code overall, right?
Yeah, you're
Which
making the mistakes of everyone.
exactly you're getting this digest of everyone's mistakes compiled together. And another interesting argument that was about even the legality of this thing, because when you are using open source, it's not free for everyone anytime. It has a license. So in Beam, we have a very permissive license. I think it's called MIT license that allows you to copy our code, use it anywhere, modify it, in any way you want, and do whatever you want with it. However, there are kind of different licenses, stricter licenses, LGPL, for example, and they specify what you can and you cannot do with this code. For example, you can use the code only if your derivative code is also open source. So this is like one example. Or you have to mention the original code. Like there are some restrictions in these open source licenses, which are completely ignored by this Copilot system. And the interesting argument here is whether those generated snippets of code are actually derivative work or not. So this is kind of the very new legal area of like how much AI is actually innovating versus copying.
Yeah, very, very interesting.
Yeah. Sorry for like it was actually a good read. Yeah, there were several interests there.
This one thought that just came to mind, and maybe you've come across it as well. Like in Telegram, I don't know if I've seen it in the Beam Telegram chat, but I've seen it in a few. And someone will come in and post a message and say, they say really, really stupid stuff, but it's the essence of it is like, I need help getting my funds out of this wallet. Here's the private key.
Oh my
And they
God.
do this, and like if you find the wallet or whatever, there's funds in it, but there's never like any Ethereum in it. It's usually on Ethereum, the ones that I've seen at least. And there's no funds in it, but there's like a token, and the token is there's like $1,000 of some token or whatever. And so of course, I guess never tried it, but I've seen it, and I guess the idea is that someone will send Ethereum to the wallet, and then of course the scammer will send out the Ethereum before the person starts to
Oh
send out
man.
the tokens or whatever.
Oh man. Really? Somebody would send an Ethereum to the okay. So listen, if you ever disclose your seed phrase or any other key to whatever, like a password, whatever, to anything, just immediately change it. Do not assume that if you have deleted it or there was not enough time that passed or whatever, you can use it. Just take everything that was there immediately to a new place, and never use this seed phrase or this password again, because everything is scanned and everything is processed at terrible speeds and everything is eventually archived, right? So you can find things. There was this interesting. Uh, you know what? It's not even the case. Every time any large organization, Google, Yahoo, whoever collects a lot of data, try to release some old anonymized data for research of anything, things would come out. And they do it all the time. Like they say, oh, but it was just for this research of this university, we just took a subset of some data of our users, we completely anonymized it, and then we released it to researchers. And then the researchers like, oh yeah, it's very easy to find who that person is.
Yeah, like it's amazing. I'm not so familiar with this, but it's amazing like how few data points you need on a person to like narrow down who that person is. And like it makes sense, I guess.
I think the most kind of impressive example for me was one of the companies that do these sports watches, these that you run with,
Yeah.
and they track your GPS location. And they
Mm.
released, I don't know, it was a medical research. I don't remember exactly what the research was, but they released a completely anonymized data of usage of their product
Yeah.
with these coordinates. Turns out some soldiers used it on secret bases all over the world.
Mm.
And then you look at the map, and then like in the
Yeah.
middle of the desert, you see this like circle when the soldier is running, around the base.
Yeah. Why is there so many people running here?
Yeah, what is this strange place in the middle of the desert that people are running at? Yeah,
Yeah.
so never a good idea. It just never works.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so please be careful, and please don't like ever use a seed phrase you found on the floor to send your own Ethereum to.
Yeah, this I haven't seen yet. I've seen it in Telegram groups, but never like on the pavement. We expect it soon, I guess.
Definitely. At first when you told me about, like, you started telling the story about the seed phrase, I thought it was a kind of an airdrop. You find the seed phrase, and then there is some token that you want to distribute in it.
Yeah, well, I mean, this I guess is what it seems like at first, or people. I mean, I'm also not sure if I feel totally sorry for the people sending Ethereum. Like, are they sending it to try and like steal the tokens, or are they just trying to send it to then send the tokens to the person? But how are they going to do that? So
I
it's,
don't
that's fun.
know.
But
It's
always coming up with like the one thing in crypto, there's always innovation in like the way that people are trying to like steal your money.
Yeah, and it's amazing that in most cases the simplest things like work. Just
Yeah.
basic social engineering. I
Yeah,
thought
like
I
like
totally.
in 2017 and 2018, there was the Twitter guys. I don't know what to call them. I don't know if they're guys or girls or whatever. It was like the send one Ethereum and get one back, get two back. Sorry, I guess getting one
Mm.
back wouldn't have been so appetizing. But there was like an interview on one of the like crypto rags about this scammer, and they were interviewing him, and he was saying he was making like $50,000 a day just with these bots on Twitter advertising a free giveaway, and
Oh
and
man.
like
I
okay,
actually know
okay,
somebody who fell for that. He called me, said that my daughter just did that, thinking that she's gonna get 2 Ethereums back. Do you think she's gonna get it back? I said, no, it's gone. It's all gone.
yeah, it's crazy. Like my girlfriend is like semi involved in crypto stuff. Like as I hope she's not listening. As much as you can be involved without being involved, and she always sends me stuff like from Telegram groups, like, what do you think about this like application? And it's this crazy long like link of garbage, and it's just a scam.
Well, I
So
mean,
I mean,
like, when people first get into crypto, I think it's like a gamble. They look at this. Oh, it's a magical internet money. It's like I can get more free money.
yeah,
That's why they
exactly.
fall for it, because
Yeah,
they just don't understand it enough. That's why it's very important to understand what you're investing in before you actually just invest in it, thinking that, oh, it's magic.
So the problem is
100%.
one of the problems that I see is that, like, you kind of think that you are one thing, but actually disclosing another thing. Like when you give permission to MetaMask to access specific token, so there are two modes. You can give access to a specific amount, or you can just give access to the dApp to the entire the token in the contract, right? And you kind of hope that it will be used correctly. And a lot of people don't realize exactly how this or what exactly they're agreeing to when they click all those. Like, for example, like when I go into some new application, like somebody says, "Oh, listen, you have to check this out," and then the first thing you see, even before you understand anything, you see connect your wallet, right? And it's mostly harmless, like, but I feel this kind of strange, like I don't really want to connect my wallet right now. Can you please tell me a little bit about yourself before I connect my wallet? And then like I start kind of researching because the very fact that you connect your wallet, I don't know, it's scary. It's scary for me. Like I'm trying to be careful,
Yeah,
even though it's probably safe.
and the one thing I find crazy there is like a lot of these applications, like they don't show you any information until you connect your wallet, which is like very annoying because often you just want to see like what's happening in the application or whatever, but you can't without connecting it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the point of education that is, I think, close to missing, like from the current. Like
Oh,
for example, like did you ever like see any, I don't know, tutorial or explanation, like when you go to buy some NFT somewhere, like any kind of listen, do this, don't do that. No, like it's all kind of implied.
yeah, exactly. And if you go on like YouTube or Twitter, like the most popular people, and maybe this is like where the problem comes from. It's like a people problem. The most ones are always about like buy this coin, it's gonna go times 1,000 or whatever, and far more like at least the monetary kind of side of it is far more popular for new people, especially I guess, than like education, which is a shame.
I agree.
Speaking of apps, there was a question I wanted to kind of ask. Does Beam Foundation have any kind of like incentive or any kind of like what you say? Yeah, like a incentive to get some like developers, maybe known developers, have created something, some DeFi projects or whatever websites or whatever the hell, to maybe try to develop on Beam.
So yeah, we do have uh, partners that are developing some apps right now, and we also have, like in theory, we have bounties, but they're never too specific. We do have a new discussion on the forum about application ideas, and our hope is that if somebody like wants to develop something, he will either come to pick up a specific idea, and then we will assign a bounty to it, or just kind of bring an idea of his own. So yeah, I'll post a link to this. I think right after the show, to all of the open discussions. We have organized a forum a little bit, and it's much kind of better, in my opinion, now in terms of navigation and finding stuff. So check it out. We're trying to make the forum a central place for, let's say, kind of more context-related discussions. So information is not lost within Telegram kind of chat. And if you have any additional suggestions about that, it's also fine. But yeah, we are working with some partners, and we also are looking for more all the time. There are two major problems that we're trying to overcome. The first one is that Beam is a relatively small ecosystem, and it's completely new architecture with a lot of learning that needs to be done before you can implement kind of the first contract. It's very different from what people are used to in Solidity. So we are working on the documentation to improve that. It will take time, but it will get there. And also we have announced that we're working on the EVM integration. And when that happens, obviously it will be much better, but this is going to happen closer to the end of the year. In any case, in the meantime, we will continue development both like internally and with existing partners.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we will roll out some interesting things in the coming weeks. Cool. Wow, it's been a great time. So we're coming to an hour mark, and if any of you have any additional questions, that's the time to ask them.
Yeah, speak up or you will be forced to wait till next week's.
No, you will just be forced to type them in Telegram.
Yeah, true. Okay, cool. Wicked. Last reminder, get on over to the forum. As Alex mentioned, it's going to be especially important once the voting DApp is live. The DAO DApp is live on the as the majority of discussions will be happening there. And I must say, I'm a like computer noob, so the forum was like made far nicer and easier to navigate in this kind of stuff because Alex helped out with bringing that up to speed.
I did have a question about the UI. Will the UI change after the fork? Am I understanding that correctly? How the Beam wallet looks like and stuff inside of it?
There will be several relatively minor upgrades. The most changed module, I think, is the application section, the dApps, and how it looks like. Because we're trying to add new features there, and it kind of now features the decentralized app store built in. So it kind of that's the most changes. Most of the things will look pretty familiar. Maybe settings a little bit different, but not too much. In the next version, which is the 7.1, we will also add the asset swap. So you will have kind of an additional tab, an additional marketplace to trade assets in. But no, other than that, I think it's mostly similar.
Okay.
Okay, so it's been great as usual. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you guys for joining and see you next week. Same place, same time.
Have an amazing week.
Absolutely. See you.
Bye-bye.